Disclaimer: if you study history, you'll notice something terrifying. There's a pattern that has destroyed three superpowers over the last 500 years, and in 2026, America is following that exact same pattern, stage by stage. Spain controlled half the world's gold and silver in 1590. They had the most powerful military, the global reserve currency, and an empire that stretched across 4 continents. Just 80 years later, they were bankrupt and never recovered. Britain in 1914 was the largest empire in human history. The sun never set on British territories. The pound sterling was the world's reserve currency, and London controlled global finance. Within 40 years, the empire was gone. The Soviet Union in 1991 was a nuclear superpower with global influence and military might that rivaled America. It collapsed in just 900 days, from superpower to non-existent, not from war, but from internal economic implosion. 3 empires, 3 collapses, the exact same pattern. And here's what should terrify you. America has already completed 5 of the 7 stages. The pattern doesn't care about exceptionalism. It doesn't care if you think you're different. It's mathematical. When you spend more than you produce, when you debase your currency, when you overextend your military, the sequence is locked. The only question is timing. Before we break down each stage, let me be clear about what this video is. This is the overview, the framework that explains the entire pattern. In the videos that follow, I'll create detailed breakdowns of each stage separately, showing you exactly how it works, the current 2026 data, and where America stands right now. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss any video in this series. Each stage gets its own deep dive, and understanding this pattern is the first step to protecting yourself and your family from what's coming. The pattern has 7 stages, and every superpower that has fallen went through them in order. Stage 1 is military overextension. The empire spreads its forces across the globe, fighting on multiple fronts, maintaining bases in dozens of countries, and making commitments it cannot sustain. The cost becomes unbearable. Stage 2 is currency debasement. To pay for the military and other expenses, the government either dilutes its currency with cheaper metals or, in modern times, prints unlimited money. The currency loses purchasing power. Inflation accelerates. Stage 3 is the debt spiral. Tax revenue can't cover expenses, so governments borrow. They borrow more to pay interest on old debt. The debt grows exponentially until it consumes everything. Stage 4 is loss of productive capacity. When money flows in from abroad through conquest, trade advantages, or reserve currency status, the empire stops producing. Manufacturing disappears. Agriculture declines. Everything gets imported. The empire becomes a consumer, not a producer. Stage 5 is social decay. As the economy fails, crime rises. Homelessness explodes. Trust in institutions collapses. The most talented people leave for rising powers. Society fragments. Political chaos becomes the norm. Stage 6 is loss of reserve currency status. Trading partners start using other currencies. Central banks diversify their holdings. The special privilege of printing money the world must accept begins to disappear. Stage 7 is total collapse. Not gradual decline, but sudden, catastrophic failure. The currency becomes worthless. The military can't be funded. Allies abandon ship. The empire doesn't fade, it implodes. Now let me show you how this played out 3 times in history and why America is currently on stage 5 in early 2026. This is just the overview. In the upcoming videos, each stage will get a full detailed breakdown with current 2026 statistics, real-world examples, and actionable information. Spain became the first global superpower after Christopher Columbus reached the Americas in 1492. By 1550, Spanish ships were transporting 200 tons of silver annually from American mines. By 1600, this reached 400 tons per year. Spain controlled the money supply of Europe. The Spanish real was the global reserve currency. Everyone wanted Spanish silver. But this is where the pattern began. Spain's King Philip II, who ruled from 1556 to 1598, spent everything on military expansion. Spanish troops fought on 4 continents simultaneously, against the Ottoman Empire in the Mediterranean, against France and rebels in the Netherlands, against England's navy, in the Philippines and across the Americas. Half of Spain's revenue went to military spending, and it still wasn't enough. To cover the shortfall, Spain began mixing copper into silver coins. A coin that should have been pure silver became 50% copper, then 75%. The face value stayed the same, but the real value plummeted. By 1600, Spanish coins contained almost no silver. Merchants stopped accepting them at face value, and prices skyrocketed. Meanwhile, Spain borrowed from every banker in Europe, German bankers, Italian bankers, anyone who would lend. Philip II declared bankruptcy in 1557, just 1 year into his reign, then again in 1575, then 1596. 4 bankruptcies in 40 years. Each time, Spain promised reforms and then borrowed more. The silver made everything worse, because when you have unlimited money, you stop producing. Why grow food when you can import it? Why build ships when you can buy them? The Spanish elite considered work beneath them. Manufacturing collapsed. Agriculture stopped. All the silver that arrived from America immediately flowed out to pay for French wine, Italian silk, and Dutch goods. Spain became a passage for wealth. Money came in and went right back out. By 1600, Spain produced almost nothing. When the silver mines began to dry cool, the entire system imploded. The streets of Madrid filled with beggars. The best minds emigrated to France, England, and the Netherlands. By 1640, Spain lost Portugal. By 1650, they lost the Netherlands. By 1700, the Spanish Empire was an empty shell, large on maps, but economically dead. Fast forward 300 years, Britain in 1900 controlled 25% of the world's land and 400 million people. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency. London was the financial center of the world. But World War I changed everything. The war cost Britain $40 billion, equivalent to $1 trillion in today's money. Britain borrowed heavily from America. By 1918, Britain owed America billions and had transitioned from creditor to debtor. The war drained Britain's gold reserves by half. In 1931, Britain abandoned the gold standard. The pound lost 25% of its value overnight. Then World War II arrived, another $120 billion in costs. By 1945, Britain owed more than its entire GDP. In 1947, Britain lost India, the crown jewel of the empire and its most profitable colony. Over the next 20 years, Britain lost everything. By 1970, the empire existed only in history books. The Soviet Union's collapse was even faster. In 1985, the USSR was a nuclear superpower with troops spread across Eastern Europe, supporting allies in Cuba, Syria, Vietnam, North Korea, Angola, and Ethiopia. The Soviet military budget consumed 15 to 20% of GDP, 3 times what America spent. By the 1970s, Soviet economic growth had stopped. Factories produced garbage, farms failed. By 1980, the Soviet Union was importing grain despite having some of the world's best agricultural land. Why? Because central planning doesn't work. Without incentives, nobody produces. When oil prices collapsed in the mid-1980s, Soviet gold reserves evaporated. The ruble was worthless. Nobody outside the Soviet Union would accept it. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. Eastern Europe broke away. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, and East Germany all left Soviet control within 1 year. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved. From the fall of the Berlin Wall to complete collapse took only 900 days. No war, no invasion, just economic failure. The military couldn't be paid. The government stopped functioning. A superpower with 30,000 nuclear weapons collapsed from internal economic rot. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe for more analysis that cuts through the noise and shows you what's really happening. Make sure to hit the notification bell, because in the next videos, I'll break down each of the 7 stages in detail. Stage 1, Military Overextension, America's 750 military bases and why the cost is unsustainable. Stage 2, Currency Debasement, how money printing destroyed the dollar's purchasing power. Stage 3, the debt spiral, why $38.5 trillion can never be repaid. Stage 4, loss of manufacturing, how America gave everything to China. Stage 5, social decay, the collapse happening right now that nobody's talking about. Stage 6, the end of the dollar as reserve currency. And Stage 7, total collapse. Each stage gets its own video, with current data, real examples, and what it means for you. Drop a comment below and tell me which stage you want to see first. Understanding history isn't about predicting doom. It's about seeing patterns clearly so you can prepare for what comes next. The pattern is mathematical. 3 empires followed it. America is on Stage 5 in 2026. The U.S. national debt just crossed $38.5 trillion, with interest payments reaching $1 trillion annually, more than defense spending. Watch the entire series to understand where this is heading and how to protect yourself.